So let's start it off with your thoughts on the current state of the Boston Red Sox. Talk to me about everything that went on with the Xander Bogaerts thing, how you were feeling. How much of a factor does Marcelo Meyer, presumably being ready in 2024, play into Heim's decision to not pursue Xander earlier? Realistic expectations for Triston Casas this year. I like the pitch clock. My issue is the dumb 8-second rule. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dugout. This is episode 20 of the Dugout. No Drew today. We do have a special guest, Joey Capponi. Joey, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Joey Capponi.
You
don't
want
more
to
than
tell that? You're a big superstar.
Okay, yeah, no. In case you don't know who I am. In case you don't know who I am, you probably do. I host the ITM podcast with Sports Illustrated, covering the Red Sox. Formerly with Odyssey Sports, doing the same under a very similar name. The same acronym, oddly enough, but a different name that I no longer own. Before that, I worked with this fella here at a different company, also making sports media stuff. But I can never remember the name of that company.
No.
Thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate you asking me. I'm excited to talk Sox.
Yeah, so, I don't get to talk too much Sox on the show. We talk a lot of the rivalry, but purely Sox, we haven't had too much besides the whole Devers thing this offseason. So let's start it off with just your thoughts on the current state of the Boston Red Sox.
It's pretty unsure. I don't think anybody has a concrete idea, and I think the people who do tell you they have a concrete idea are dead wrong. I think there are people on both sides of the aisle right now that really firmly believe that the team is going to win 40 games, and there's people who really believe that this team is better than they've been in the past 3 years. And I don't think either of those things you can definitively say till you see. It's a lot of wait and sees, and it's a lot of ifs. There's a ton of question marks up and down the lineup, in the rotation. It's really just your bullpen that you feel good about if you've been following this team. And even in the bullpen, all of those guys, aside from 2 of them, have proven themselves elsewhere. You haven't seen them here. And the bullpen is a little older, too. So even if you want to poke holes in their most bolstered part of their roster, you can still do it. So I think it's pretty unsure. I think everybody with a brain thinks it's pretty realistic for them to be 3rd or 4th in the division come the end of this year, going to be fighting for a wild card spot. I think it's a pretty realistic expectation for this team.
I set mine pretty low. I said a few episodes ago that I would not be surprised if this was a 5th place team.
I don't think that that's a testament against this team, though. I think that's a testament to how good the AL East is.
Yeah, right.
It's
And
sick.
I think the biggest, obviously the thing holding you from 4th and 5th place is how well the Orioles, everything for the Orioles pans out, because it's a very young team. There's a lot of prospects. If Grayson Rodriguez comes up and is a stud, then he's a stud. Gunnar obviously already showed, that he's worth the hype. And then again, I think too, it's the Blue Jays every single year have such a great roster. They're very like Dallas Cowboys and Los Angeles Chargers-esque, where they always seem to win the offseason and always have a really good roster, and they never put it together. So if it's one of those years that they put it together, then this team is, the Red Sox, definitely a 4th place team, could be looking at a 5th place, based upon how the Orioles put it together. So I know you and I talked about this when it was happening. Kind of just, talk to me about everything that went on with the Xander Bogaerts thing, how you were feeling now that we're a month and a half out of it, how Red Sox Nation is feeling about it. I know, I've said it multiple times on here and as well to you. I would have never touched the amount of money in the years that San Diego paid him, which is aside from the problem of it should have been a long time ago. But how are people around the organization and closer to the Red Sox coping with it? Have they completely moved on? And where's that at?
I don't know if anybody's completely dealt with it yet. I'll say that. So I was in San Diego for the winter meetings when the Xander news broke, and it was a shock to everybody.
Yep.
The word around the winter meetings leading up to that day, I don't remember, I want to say it was a Tuesday, but the weekend and leading up to it had been pretty quiet. And then that morning, the report started to leak that it was getting close.
Yeah.
And then I started to hear it was getting close.
I know.
And then I started to hear numbers. And I think I texted you the numbers that I heard.
You did. It was like 6-1-20 something. It was something like that.
6-1-60 was the offer that they did give. And then later in the day, I don't know if I texted you the second one, the number that everyone was saying was 8-2-20. And I was like, oh, they're stepping up. If they're giving him 8-2-20, nobody's matching that.
Yeah. Which I'm sure in Xander's defense probably would have taken had San Diego not thrown an absolutely ridiculous offer at him.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like you said, it's all a matter of he never should have gotten to free agency. And like the fact that he did opened up the door for a team like San Diego to do something ridiculous and throw as much money at him as they did. But he never should have been in that position. I think around the team, I think there's a sense of reality. Like we got to move on. Like we can't just sit here all day and say, man, we wish Bogey was here. It's not going to be the same without Bogey. You're going to drive yourself nuts if you do that. So I think that there is some realism that like we can't do that. We got to move on to whatever degree. And if you want to find some silver lining, I think that there's a general feeling of relief that this year won't be clouded in questions of a superstar's future. Because last year was crazy with that. I mean, Xander was bombarded with it every day.
Yeah.
And even the days he wasn't asked about it, you could just see word on his face that it was bothering him. And that's not going to be there anymore. Luckily, there's not going to be that with Devers.
Thank God.
So
thank God.
All of that stuff is gone. Now it really is like, what is the performance on the field this year going to be?
Yeah.
And I guess the other conversation is kind of poking holes in the front office's mentality. But there is some relief that, like, okay, although Xander's not here, now we don't have to deal with that anymore. It's like a tough breakup. It's like, yeah, you wish that person was still around, but you know what? Like, there's no fighting anymore, and there's no, like, what is going to happen here. There's no what if we try that. It's done. And you can put the period on it and move past it. I don't think that there's a clear-cut leader of this team because Bogey really had that role for a long time, so nobody is being asked to step into that right away. But they do have a ton of veteran presence. So I think it's going to be kind of a leader by committee kind of thing. And from the stuff that we've seen coming out of Fort Myers, Devers has actually kind of stepped up and been more of a leader than we've ever seen him be, which is never been asked of him. He's always been the young guy, the guy learning from the veterans. And for him to step up with new guys like even Yoshida, who he has a double language barrier with, like seeing him like talk with him and some of the other younger guys, it's pretty cool. But I don't think anybody's trying to fill Xander's shoes right away.
Yeah, and it seems Kike has taken a lot of that responsibility, especially the recruiting thing. So last thing about Xander, how much do you think, I kind of just randomly thought about this now, when you talked about 6 to 8 years for Xander in Boston, obviously we signed Story to a long deal. How much of a factor does Marcelo Meyer, presumably being ready in 2024, play into Chaim's decision to not pursue Xander earlier on in the process while he was still a Red Sox, in accepting reality that Marcelo's the future? If we have to settle with a gap player like Mondesi for a year or two, or even Kike at shortstop for a year or two, that's fine. Because if you had Bogarts for 6 to 8, you have Story for a while, Myer wouldn't have really fit anywhere. I don't think he's really touched third in his life. And it's also probably too soon to put Rafi into a full designated hitter role. So from your opinion, do you think that weighed on Chaim's mind in any of, the contract negotiations, especially earlier on when deciding not to lock down Xander long time?
I mean, I can only speculate. So not to self-promote here. I'm interviewing Chaim later this week, and I'm planning on asking him that exact same thing because he will have an actual answer. Because I don't have one. The thing that makes me think no is that Meyer's like a crazy athlete. He's a shortstop,
Yeah.
but that's because he's a
He's
crazy
played
athlete.
shortstop his entire life. Yeah.
Yeah, because as you come up and you're the best athlete and you're the best
You play
baseball player on the
shortstop.
team, you play shortstop. So
Yeah.
I don't know how married to the position he was, and I also don't know how much they would be constructing the roster right now for, at the time, a kid who was 19 years old.
Yep.
So I don't know how much that really played in, but it's hard to find anything else to point to.
Yeah.
So my gut would say it was probably in the back of his mind, but that's a lot of pressure to be putting on a kid. While he's literally still a teenager, to be saying like, yeah, the Red Sox are deciding not to give Xander Bogaerts money because they think you're going to fill the role. That's crazy. So
It is.
I hope they didn't, have a conversation with him like that. But I mean, he seems so confident, and all the scouts and all the people who work within the system seem really, really confident in him. I don't think
yeah,
there's
a lot
anything
of
you
times
can see in
with
single A though.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think the benefit to him is a lot of times with prospects, it's a lot of, well, this could be him. This, he could do this, he could do that, but he's put the numbers up. And yeah, granted, it's single A and both levels of single A and rookie ball. But for his age, like he's keeping up, he's putting up the numbers, so it's there. I mean, I'm obviously very excited. I think Heim has done, and as much shit as I'll give Heim for everything that's happened the past year, the way he's been drafting has been bar none. I mean,
well, here's the thing. I like Heim too, but I give Heim more credit. I think I like what he does a lot of the time. Meyer fell right into his lap. I don't think
my God.
he talked a lot at the winter meetings about, we drafted for the future and we started to build and we da-da-da-da, which implies that you set out in the 2020 season to get the 4th overall draft pick. That's what you set out to do. You were like, we're going to tank for Meyer and he's going to fall to 4th, which nobody saw coming. So it makes no sense to like the fact that Heim is like, yeah, see, we've built up the system. It's like, no. Meyer fell into your lap, and all the other prospects who you keep putting these high praise to are still 20 years old, and a lot of them were already in the system, and the guys who you have traded for are not going to be anything. Like, I don't know if you've been watching the spring training games. Does David Hamilton move the needle for you? Are you like, hell yeah, David Hamilton's going to come up here?
David Hamilton does one thing in the minor leagues, and that is steal bases, but he still can't hit.
The thing is, you have to get on base in order to steal bases.
Exactly, and when he gets to the majors, he what, like it was 213 or 220 something in the minors. Like, sure, he gets on base enough to steal, but you put him in the big leagues, it's not going to happen. Benelis is another guy we got in one of those big trades. He hasn't done a thing.
Where is he? I haven't seen him.
I don't think he even made the. It's just.
Yeah. You start to look around. Jay Groom had some comments this week about being kind of shocked that he was leaving the Sox system, which, like, are you actually shocked? But even if you want to, like, criticize that, too, it's like we traded Jay Groom for Hosmer and then just let Hosmer go.
Yeah.
So a lot of the moves are confusing when it comes to building up the farm because it doesn't feel like they're really doing that. It feels like they've got like 4 big guys they're relying on. Yeah,
and the Frank Herman DFA was mind-blowing to me. I mean,
a lot of the DFAs this offseason have been strange. I mean, Matt
Well,
Barnes,
yeah, I was going to touch on that eventually. You know how much I hate Mr. Brazier. How he has survived the countless DFAs this winter. I don't understand, and I won't understand. Even if Ryan Frazier comes out and he's a really good reliever this year, I still don't think I will be able to wrap my head around the fact that he was able to survive this long, because he wasn't good last year, flat out. He had one good month, as every Red Sox reliever did, and besides that, he got shelled, absolutely shelled. His whole Baseball Savant page is blue, so I don't know what analytics Heim's looking at that's warranting to keep him.
I mean, that is it, though. That is the thing, though. Like, Heim kind of has said without saying, like, us looking at the advanced numbers, we really think that he's got the stuff. God bless you. I don't know how you think that. I don't know what numbers you're possibly looking at, but I think with Matt Barnes, I think it was a lot of his expected numbers.
Yeah.
That they thought he got lucky a lot. They thought a lot of the stuff that stayed in the infield was good contact, and that he would continue to give up more contact. His strikeout rates were down, which can all be true, but also doesn't mean that he didn't perform better than Ryan Frazier. There's certain expected stats that really only make sense when you're looking towards the future, but when you're looking at the past with them, it's like, okay, well, does it matter what his expected anything was when you see what his actual everything was?
Right.
It's like, well, he didn't match the projections. Well, because he did better. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something in there that I don't get. I know Heim has a job that requires a lot more understanding of these things than I do, but no, I don't get it. I don't know why Ryan Frazier's still there. I think even if he comes out and has a good year, that I don't even know if I would believe that Heim saw something in him. It might just be that he has a good year. It feels like he's dug in, like that the whole front office has decided, no matter what, Ryan is here just to prove a point almost. And that's I don't know.
It's a crazy point to make.
They're like, nope, we've made up our minds. Stop talking about it. What's wicked funny, I don't know if you saw this, but Heim was giving an interview, or not an interview, it was media availability after the Matt Barnes DFA. And while he's talking about Matt Barnes, without being prompted, without being asked, he was like, and before you guys ask about Ryan, blah, 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 and then went on about Ryan Frazier. Like, he anticipated, I know that you guys saw a DFA and want to ask me why I didn't DFA Ryan Frazier.
Frazier's got to have
nuts.
dirt. He has to
He's got to have
dirt
some naked pictures of somebody.
There's something. But yeah, back to the Barnes thing and the expected numbers. I will say, I will give credit when credit is due. They kept it consistent with Waka. I did do a deep Michael Waka dive when the season ended. A lot of my friends liked the Waka signing when it first happened. I personally did not. And then the receipts were pulled. I was told that I was wrong, and I said, no, yeah, sure, I was wrong. He had a really good year, but let's take a look at the numbers, and let's look at the games he pitched in. Because every time I turned the TV on and Michael Waka was pitching, it seemed that the Red Sox had 8, 9, 10 runs, and he didn't really have to do anything. So we went on Baseball Reference. I looked at his starts. Over half his starts, I think it was 6+ runs scored for the Red Sox. And then in the very few games that it was a 2-run or less lead, he didn't pitch very well.
He had a complete game. He had a complete game. Complete game shutout.
One complete game shutout.
Oh, was he supposed to have 7?
Well, Alcantara.
Okay, because Michael Waka wasn't Cy Young caliber. Listen, Michael Waka was your best pitcher last year. I don't know why
I don't
I
disagree.
think it's so crazy that everybody just kind of let him go, because it wasn't even just the team that let him go. The fans were like, "See you, Michael. Have a great time out there."
I mean, again, but look what the Padres threw him. Would you have touched what the Padres paid him?
No, but he was around in free agency for so long. I don't think the Padres had to give him that. I think the Padres could have given him 2 years,
The Padres
$10 million.
are just throwing money around like it's monopoly money this offseason.
I don't even think
they're
they
paying
asked him
Manny
what he
Machado
wanted.
a total of $450 million now, which is crazy.
Well, think about the brand ambassador stuff, because everybody across the league loves him so much. Now they have a beloved player on their team.
Yeah,
it makes absolutely no sense. I think the Padres are actually the unsustainable one, more so than the Mets.
Because the Mets still have their farm,
and the Mets also have like a fan base that will support them in a ballpark that will contain them, and like they are a brand, an established brand. I think Padres fans are going to exist for like 1.5 seasons. I
see this Padres experiment going very wrong. Every time I see them throw more money at someone for the amount of years that they're giving them, I just don't see it going over well for them. And they're not going to be able to pay Soto. There's no realm of possibility that they're going to be able to pay Soto.
No, I think paying Machado was them making a choice between the two of them.
Which I would rather pay Machado than Soto at this point, if I'm the Padres, because it just based on the fact, not that Machado's a better player. I think Soto obviously he's going to be one of the greatest to ever play, but in terms of clubhouse, in just what he meant to that organization, I think he was more important to pay than Soto.
If they care about their clubhouse, there's probably another guy that they wouldn't keep around.
Yeah, I would agree. That's I not a big fan of that guy.
Coming to Boston, maybe he can fill the gap until Myers ready.
I don't.
Will
want
he
him in
take a
Boston,
2-year deal?
No.
Or well, no, he has a 15-year, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's pretty cheap too.
So we'll take on that, and then try to deal him in 2 years once Myers up.
Yeah, but I don't even know if I want. I don't think I'd even take him in Boston. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I'd rather
wouldn't
just
want him
like,
there.
I'd rather just be bad for a year and then take Meyer,
Tough
which
guy to
we're
root
gonna be
for.
bad for a year. No, he is.
I
mean,
think they're
he's
in the
made
middle of 2 gap years. They won't say it because obviously no team is going to come out and say that unless like it's insanely obvious. But I think 2023 and 24 are gap years because
because
even
even
if you wanna
24
call-
when you start hitting the prospects, it's gonna take a year.
that's the thing. You're going to start getting them. And
Yeah,
because
right.
like I don't think
Exactly.
opening day Marcelo Meyer's your shortstop next year. I think he
No.
comes up in August, September of 24. And like Miguel Blaze is another guy who like you have a lot of hope for. Ceddanne Rafaela and like the three of them
I hope we trade
together.
Zidane.
You what?
I said I hope we trade Zidane.
You watch your mouth.
No. Listen,
You don't
love
like
the guy.
Ceddanne Rafaela?
I love him, but that's the issue. Is that
I don't
he
need
has
right now. I don't need pieces right now. I need
he has
2025 to be a good
insurmountably
season.
surpassed any expectation that he has ever surpassed when he got signed, that was ever expected when he got signed.
Yeah.
And I just think we should sell high. Same
It
thing with
would've
Duran.
been-
Duran never hit this level of prospect, but we should have dealt Duran before he touched the major leagues.
There was reports at a time where people thought Duran like was one of the most athletic prospects in baseball. Maybe not like the most gifted, but like as far as athleticism goes, he was like being talked about that high. That
Yeah,
would have been a great
yeah.
time to get rid of him.
Yeah.
In hindsight, because I was excited when he came up, and with Rafaela, if you were going to, it probably would have been after he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if they didn't deal him then, I can't imagine he has a better season this year than before.
Most
It's
likely
like
not.
now was the time, and if they didn't do it, then that means they really believe he's going to be up here. So if you're looking 2025 Red Sox to be like, Bayo, Casas, Story, Myer, Devers,
Mata will
and
probably be up by then.
Mata, Bayo, and then Rafaela, Blaze, and Ryan Frazier in the pen.
And maybe Blaze. Maybe Blaze Jordan. I
Blaze
want to
Jordan-
trade that.
Blaze
He
Jordan,
needs to
we
go.
only know because he has a cool name.
He needs to go.
Blaze Jordan
He
is
needs to
not
go.
in the top 25
My buddy
prospects.
loves Blaze Jordan because he was hitting 500-foot homers as a 13-year-old with like a drop 13 bat. And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, he's never going to be good. I promise you that. I promise.
His name's too
So
cool.
yeah, no, it's a great name, and
Stops
you know,
him
honestly,
from being
you know,
too good.
Heim played it. Heim played it pretty well. Got him with pretty good slot value. So, cred to Heim for that. Realistic expectations for Triston Casas this year.
I'm thinking like 47 bombs, 1125 OPS.
I like how you think. I'm liking it. I'm liking
just
it.
being realistic about it. No, I mean
Yeah.
realistically, dude, he's probably a 230 hitter with a high OBP.
Yeah, I mean his OPS is gonna play. The average.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, even in the 2 weeks that he played, everyone's complaining about his average. Like, did you watch the
That's who
games?
he is. That's who he
Did
is.
you watch how he got in a 3-2 count every at bat? Like, it's gonna happen. It was his first 2 weeks in the bigs. It's obviously gonna happen, and he hit the ball hard. It wasn't always a hit, but he hit the ball hard. Like, Red
Yeah,
Sox
I think,
fans. There's a handful of Red Sox fans that.
There's just a hard dichotomy, bro, because like there's the old heads who don't see his batting average high enough, and then there's
Yeah.
the new kids who are looking at his expected OBP plus, and it's like, well, okay, maybe there's somewhere in the middle here. Maybe there's something we can fall on where like there's something to grab out of both of those things without putting like our entire eggs and chicken into one of these whimsy baskets.
Which of the Red Sox account do you have beef with?
Which Red Sox account? I'd like
Is it
20.
stats or strong? Stats or strong? though?
Strong. I love
Strong.
stats.
Strong sucks.
Strong
Strong
sucks.
is awful.
There's another guy I
terrible.
really hate on there right now. I had to block him, but he
Who?
beat me to it actually.
Who?
HVT, Red Sox and stuff. I'll say his name on here. I don't care. Hate that kid. I know him too. He doesn't know that I know him, which is the craziest thing.
Like, you know him in real life?
Yeah, but he doesn't know that I know him. Yeah. I know him like through a friend. But like
Oh,
when
okay.
I saw him tweet, I was like, dude, I know who this is. And then like I don't know, whatever. It absolutely doesn't matter. But that he is one of the people that's on the side of the fence that like everything's great. This team could win the World Series. And it's like, shut up. That's just not true. And then there are tons of accounts that like I'll tweet anything. I'll tweet like, oh, like Doogie's looking faster than usual. And people will be like, I'm sure he's going to keep running when they're losing 110 games this year. And it's like, can we not do that either? Like, there's just nothing to gain out of that. Triston Casas, I think, hits like 25 bombs. To answer your original question, I think Triston Casas hits like 25 bombs. Might make Rookie of the Year conversation, depending on how it looks around baseball.
But there's so many rookies.
Yeah,
So many
the
good
thing is,
AL
I
rookies.
just don't know. I don't know who the pool is right now. You know what I mean?
I mean, Gunner's going to be in it.
Yeah.
Depending where Volpe ends up, he's going to be in it.
It's the Orioles
I think
roster
Oswaldo
is
still
submitted
counts.
as the Rookie of the Year ballot.
Who has?
The Orioles roster just gets submitted as one.
Yeah. So back to Casas. Immediate reaction to what came out the other day with the older guys
Yeah.
not liking his pregame routine. I had mixed feelings about it.
Me too.
Especially considering the fact that it was last year. You are old veterans on a really bad team, and most likely the guys that it was probably aren't here anymore. I don't know. My first immediate reaction, it kind of pissed me off because it's not like Casas joined a winning team with a culture that he was breaking up and messing up from an everyday standpoint. So I didn't really understand the big deal with it. Sure, it's different, and like everything in baseball is the older guys getting mad at what is new and different and young age. Is it weird on Triston Casas' part? Sure, but the guy's been doing it for how many years? Like maybe napping in the middle of the locker room before a game isn't the greatest idea. Like maybe we can move it, into your locker or something, and not in the middle of the floor.
There's a nap room.
Yeah, so maybe we don't do that, but
Yeah.
like, why? Like, let the kid do what the kid has. Like, I'm sure all of these veteran players have some superstition and some routine that they do as well. So don't mess the kid up. Like, he's your number one prospect. Why are you going to take him out of his routine, especially in a brand new place under the bright lights? I don't know. I'm very new age. I tend to disagree heavily with the older baseball crowd. But at the same time, like I think it was very mature of Casas to sit down and listen to him and say, hey, like I'm willing to change these things. I'm not gonna try and rub people the wrong way. So that part I did like.
Yeah. So it took me a little bit to kind of figure out how I felt about it because I had a gut reaction to it that was close to what you're saying. And then I've just kind of thought a little bit more and kind of come to this place where I don't really have a hard take one way or the other. I think it was handled wrong by like 7 people. I think it was just like down the line, like everybody could have done a little bit better about this. First of all, shout out to Chris Cotillo of Mass Live who broke the story and then had Alex Cora to his face tell him that he agreed with it, but also thought the headline sucked.
Yeah.
That was funny. I think Triston, like you said, is a weird cat. There's no way around it. Like he's an oddball. I love him. I like that he's wearing fingernail polish this year. I like that he believes he suns instead of drinking coffee. I like that he's a weird guy. I really do.
I hope the mustache stays for a while too. I hope
I hope so too. It fits him. But there's a couple of things that he did at the beginning there, like the sunbathing in right field, that I think came off like I'm a top prospect and now I'm here and like I own the place.
It's understandable.
And I don't think that's what he intended.
No, definitely not.
I'm not 100% sure which veteran guys it was that was that had a problem with it. I know it was like
Ryan
some guys on
Frazier.
the pitching staff.
It's
So
probably Ryan Brazier, and it's probably why he's still here.
it's probably Brazier, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know how Brazier runs the clubhouse.
Yeah.
But I know it was some guys on the pitching staff, and I think that they viewed it as that. I think they saw like this kid thinks he owns the place.
Yeah.
And what I don't think it was those guys being like, "Hey, I got the rookie hazing treatment, so you have to get the rookie hazing treatment." Because I hate that. That makes no sense to me. Like, just because you had to walk uphill to school both ways doesn't mean that I can't take a car. Like that's things get better. You should want better for the next people. Right. So I do think it was that. But like you said, shows a lot of maturity that he was like, yeah, cool. He's also still sunning before games. He's just not doing it on the field. He's doing it on the Coca-Cola deck now.
That's okay.
Yeah, go on up there. Do it up there. They're fine with that. I don't like that he had to change anything because I think from the outside, as a fan, you want to say like, dude, whatever it takes. Like, just be yourself and be the best Triston Casas on the field that you can. Whatever you have to do to make that happen, do it. I think on the inside, people were like, okay, like, I don't want to get off on the wrong foot with you, dude. And you're kind of setting us down on the wrong foot a little bit. So good on them to speak up, I guess. Good on Triston Casas to start napping in the nap room, I guess. It's a whole bunch of like, did this need to be a thing? Like, I don't know. I did hear a story about another guy a few years ago napping in the clubhouse, and they had a big problem with him doing that as well. Yeah, got some water dumped on him while he was sleeping, and he was a veteran guy.
Yep.
So I think it's just part of the Red Sox culture that they don't do that. I don't know. Things like that stick around, and when you have a bunch of veteran guys, they're going to kind of bring these different cultures all together, you know what I mean? Like from the different organizations that they came from, and they're going to be a little more old school than a younger team.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with me that I had with it was that they're coming from unnamed veterans on a not very good team, and there weren't many good veterans on that team. It would be different if Big Papi and Dustin Pedroia came out and said, like, hey, like, you know, Triston and I had a conversation, and we told him how a big league clubhouse runs. That's completely different to me.
Because I'll tell you who it wasn't. It wasn't Xander Bogaerts.
No.
Xander's not that guy. So Xander didn't go to Triston and be like, hey, knock that off. He might have at some point to be like, hey, some guys are saying this stuff, and like you might want to know it. Yeah. But it certainly, like the big quote is "Are you kidding me?" That somebody walked out of the clubhouse or out of the dugout tunnel, saw him, said, "Are you kidding me?" First of all, if it offends you that much that you're like, "Are you serious?" I want to hear the tone in which the guy said it. Because if he walked out with a smile on his face, it's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like this kid's here really on his first day and he's bathing his shirt off, and wow, that's crazy. That's one thing. But if he came out and was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
this kid on my field, it's totally different. So I don't know what the tone of that stuff was, but you're right. It's like, dude, you got. Maybe that played into it, though, that they had been sucking, and then somebody shows up and is having fun, and they're like, dude, we're not having fun right now.
Yeah, no. Like,
dial it back. We're sucking right now.
That's why I'm pretty slave to the fact that it was one of those lesser-known veterans that didn't have a great year that Heim really believed in, because he really, they were probably drinking the juice that Heim was telling them that hey, we're still making a playoff push. And so they didn't want Triston coming up and having fun and doing what he does. I mean, that's my stance on the type of guy that I think it was. Maybe like a Ryan Frazier.
Because it was Ryan Frazier.
If it came out that it was Ryan Frazier, I would probably go ballistic on social media.
I don't think Ryan Frazier speaks.
No,
I don't think
he just goes like this all day.
I heard his voice for the first time like a few months ago on a podcast, and I was like,
I don't think I've ever heard his voice.
It's nuts. It blew my mind. He's like a southern accent a little bit. I was like, what is this?
Like when I picture Ryan Frazier speaking in my head, it's a little high pitched, a little raspy.
No, just kind of a southern drawl and just kind of If I remember correctly, is he even Southern? Might be wrong there. I don't even
know.
remember what it sounds like.
I couldn't tell you.
It was unremarkable.
I
Can
could
you
not
believe
care
that?
less
Something about
that guy.
Ryan Frazier was unremarkable.
Well, the amount of games he blew this season was unremarkable.
I think that might be the only remarkable thing about it. It's incredible how many games they kept.
His high
just
leverage
sticking him in.
numbers are so bad. It's terrible.
There was a stretch for like 3 weeks, I want to say, where he was like only getting high leverage situations.
Yeah.
He was coming in with like in the eighth, 2 on, up by 1. It was like a joke. It was like, you got to, like, what are we doing? And then it was like,
I felt like a lot of times it was like on purpose.
yeah.
That they would pitch Ryan Frazier on purpose to piss people off. To
It
make
was
a
like
point.
they thought it was funny for a bit. I swear to
Yeah,
God.
it was. Because like I remember vividly, I think it was the Kansas City Royals series.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched one night and gave up a bunch of runs. Either the Royals or the Rangers. He basically blew the game. And then the next night, it's a close game.
They're like, guess what?
and they pan to the bullpen camera, and Ryan Frazier's the only one warming up. I was like, you have to be kidding me. That he blew the game against either the Royals or the Rangers, both two of the worst teams in baseball. And he's warming up again on the same night, or on the next night. Like, it's just awful. It
Cora's
must
like elbowing his bench coach, being like, hey, watch this.
It's like the
Pick up the
Impractical
dugout
Joker
phone.
thing. It's like don't warm Ryan Frazier up,
Yeah.
and Cora's just doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it
on
has
the
to
other
be.
end in the bullpen, they're on the phone with him. Like, please don't say it. Don't
It
say
has
his
to be
name.
that. All right, very quickly before we get off.
Yeah.
The rotation. It's it's a really good rotation if it was like 2016,
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
Like
Would've been
really
sick.
good in 2015.
Well, Brian Bayo would have been like 11.
Well,
So
everyone else.
everyone else would have been really good. They would have
If
made up for
if
it.
you had prime Kluber back then,
Dude, you have prime Kluber right now. You kidding me? Did you see his numbers last year?
see, I wanted Kluber last year, which I guess proved to be a good idea not to have Kluber. But
Would
like,
have been a waste.
but it's like now, it's even worse now.
No, he's fine.
But like, I don't.
I think Kluber's the one guy. I mean, you look at those three, because I know what three you're talking about, right? We're talking about the same three. We're talking
Yeah.
about Sale, Paxton, Kluber.
Yep.
Kluber's the only one who has like innings and any time recently. And he pitched, what,
Yeah.
160 innings last year? 140?
Somewhere around there.
He was active last year, very active. Paxton got paid by the Sox to chill last year.
He did.
Chris Sale came back for one start and then got his hand like exploded, and then fell off a bicycle in the
Yeah.
largest air quotes I've ever thrown out there.
That was absolutely crazy.
Those guys should be like way bigger concerns, and I would still argue I think Sale is going to have an up year. So Kluber is like, you got to – it's hard to put these expectations on a guy of his age, but you kind of need him to be a workhorse.
You do.
It's like you need a ton of innings out of Kluber. You need a ton of innings out of Pivetta, because your other options are two guys – because right now it's a 7-man rotation, technically, if you want to count everybody that they've said as a starter, right?
Yeah.
So Kluber, Pivetta, two guys who last year tossed 160 each. And we're like, hey, you need to be the workhorses, because the other guys in this rotation right now, the other 5 guys, a guy who hasn't pitched since 2019, Paxton, who hasn't pitched in God knows how long,
So long.
a rookie, a guy who's never been a starter, and when he was a starter, he sucked versus when he was in the bullpen, and Garrett Whitlock, and Tanner Houck, who, I can't believe this, has only made 50 appearances in his career, and most of them have been out of the bullpen. So, sorry, Corey, but like, this is not like fading into the sunset, bro. Like, you're gonna have to be a major part of this rotation.
And that's the thing. Like, Rich Hill 8 innings last year.
Yep. Michael Walker.
Kluber has to eat innings this year. And do I like Kluber more than I like Rich Hill? Probably. I thought Rich Hill was awful and way. I don't know how he's still pitching.
He was tough to watch sometimes, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why
Watching
he
him get
hasn't just
blown
hung it
up
up.
by like the Orioles is a tough watch, especially when he's
Yeah,
like hurling 85.
yeah, grunting when he's throwing 85, like
Mhm.
everything in him throwing 85.
But it's
Um,
kind of like your dad being on the mound. It's kind of cool.
it is cool. It is cool. Girl I went to college with, she lived next to me. Her uncle's Rich Hill. Fun fact.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Jealous.
I don't
Wish
know.
he was my uncle.
Um, like Whitlock, I hope ends up back in the pen. Um, I liked as a starter, but like how many innings can I see him throwing? Like I don't think he can put a 25 start season together. Um, I think Bayo, my hot take, I don't even know if it's a hot take. I think Bayo climbs his way to being the number 2 this year. I think Sale, like you said, I think Sale will be fine. He's never going to be the old Chris Sale. He's never going to be 2018 and before Chris Sale. I don't think we'll ever see that again. I have very low expectations for Chris Sale, but I think he's going to be a serviceable one that, still has effectiveness. But again, like, can I trust him to throw 25, 30 starts? No,
Probably,
I don't think so.
probably not. I wouldn't bet your life on it, but I wouldn't be like, you shouldn't be super surprised if he comes close to that, because
I
the thing
sure
is,
hope he does.
there's no reason that he
He's
shouldn't.
had so much time to heal from all these things now.
The thing is, his shoulder is fine. His
Yep.
elbow is fine.
Yeah.
He had a stress fracture in his rib, which
Yep.
is fine now.
Yeah.
He had a break in his throwing hand, which was so long ago now.
Yeah.
And then his fall was his non-throwing wrist. So there's no reason. It's not like he had like a shoulder impingement that kept him out for 3 seasons and now
Yeah.
he's back. It's like
Yeah.
there's no reason he shouldn't be good. He should be
Yeah.
an aged Chris Sale who's a little fresher. If you want to put a little
I
spin on it.
really hope so. I really hope so. I mean, he's had almost a year and a half off now. I mean, because he barely pitched the year before.
Yeah.
And then he had time off before then as well.
Mhm.
I think what concerns me was he didn't have when he came back for the postseason and later in the year. I don't care about the velocity as much as I cared about the lack of effectiveness with his changeup and not having a third pitch, and it made it so easy for the hitters to be able to pick up on it. And I don't know how much it was due to him being uncomfortable with the injury and whatnot, and hopefully, he's back and the changeup works and he can, be Chris Sale again. But that's what shied me off more than just the velocity, because I think he can be an effective pitcher without the velocity. I haven't seen it yet, so hopefully he comes out in spring training and it's working again, because very early in the, obviously it was the first game of the year last year against the Yankees, and, it still wasn't amazing. So hopefully he bounces back, but yeah, I can see Bayo climbing to a 2 spot.
I think you're right, dude. I can see that too. I think 2024 opening day might be a Bayo
A
start.
Brian Bayo start.
Yeah, if not 24, then 25.
I mean, everything with Brian Bayo makes me want to believe that he's Pedro.
Dude, Pedro was down at spring training the other day.
I know.
Did you
I
see
know.
him? He was showing his pitches to Masataka
Yeah.
Yoshida for some
Yeah.
reason.
I did see that too. I was like, how about you show him to Bayo? Don't.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
I mean, well, they worked
Massa-
together in the DR this year.
Yeah,
anyway,
they did.
So.
Massa's exciting me.
Massa's
excited
cool.
about
He's
Massa.
tiny, bro. He's really small.
He stepped in the box the other day. I was like, whoa.
I had no
Whoa.
idea he was that small. Because
No,
like,
neither did I. Because
'cause, like,
everyone
I
else,
saw clips from the-
because when you're playing in Japan, everyone else is around the same height except for the couple Americans that are playing there, and then you come to the U.S. and you have all the the Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans and the Americans, and he stepped in the box. I was like, the catcher's almost taller than he is. And it's Crouch.
He's listed as shorter than Dustin Pedroia. Wow. Yeah. He's a tiny guy. I also had no idea. Like you said, I'd only been watching his highlights from Japan. He didn't stand out. And then, wasn't until he got it. I love the shades. A report came out today that he's
looks
still
really-
adjusting to the sun because a lot of the Japanese fields are in
they're
domes.
they're all like domes. Yeah.
And that, I don't know if you watched any Red Sox baseball last year, But
That was an
being
issue.
told already that guys are having problems with the sun,
That was an issue.
I got a little bit of PTSD there. I don't really need guys dropping fly
Oh,
balls.
Rafaela made a nice catch. That should have been routine, but he made the catch.
Made the catch.
He made the catch. All right, last thing quickly.
Yep.
It really pissed me off last night. It was in the Red Sox game.
Mm-hmm.
The pitch clock.
Yes.
I don't have an issue with the pitch clock.
Yes.
I like the pitch clock.
Me too.
I saw a video where Jose Altuve hit 5 inside the park home runs in between a span of 2 pitches. So I like the pitch clock. It's great. The pace of play is awesome. I love it. My issue is the dumb 8-second rule.
The 8-second rule does kind of stink.
Matthew Lugo stepped in the box. So Colby Allard wasn't on the mound yet. He was still strutting around the mound. He was just towing the rubber. He steps on at 9 seconds. So Matthew Lugo steps in the box at around 8 seconds. Immediately the umpire calls timeout, calls a strike on Matthew Lugo. That can't happen. That needs to change. Yeah. Because once pitchers start realizing that they can abuse that, that's not fair. That's not fair to hitters. It's not. It is so, like, you can't wait. Not that Allard was doing this on purpose, but you can't expect the hitter, one, to stand in the box for all 25 seconds just for when the pitcher is ready to go, because that's not fair. And if that becomes a thing where pitchers are able to abuse that rule and step on the mound at 10 seconds and have a 50-50 shot at getting an automatic strike, it's absolute bush league. Absolute bush league.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Just devil's advocate real quick. The pitchers do need something to even the playing field a little bit here. You know?
Yep.
They need something. Because, like, I'm sure you've been watching that, like, nobody is using the full extent of the pitch clock. And part of the reason is that, like, you can't just have a 3, 2, 1, here's my pitch. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you can't give away timing like that. So, like, as much as you're putting 15 seconds up there, you're really putting 10 seconds up there.
Yeah.
Because the guys, they don't have the freedom to do that. You know, it'd be dumb. They got to level the playing field in some way. But I just don't even get why the 8-second rule is there, period. If you
I don't
guy
either.
only has the ball for 15 seconds, as a batter, you should kind of just be told, like, hey, he only has 15 seconds, so you should be ready to go.
Right.
And, like, he has a green light to throw that ball.
Exactly.
You know, unless he gets time, and then we start the clock over, which, like, I don't even know the rules around that, around batters taking time, and, like, is there a limit there? Because I know with, like, the disengagements from the rubber, like, that's a whole thing too.
Yeah.
Those parts are going to take me a while to fully grasp and whatever. I do like that they're enforcing the hell out of it right now.
I do. Yeah, there's been no leeway with it. It's been very precise. Yeah. The umpire's doing a great job with it, which I like. Like, they're officiating and
and to, like, as a viewer and as a player, just to know those things ahead of time and see what it actually looks like in use. Because I don't think that like the end of the Sox game, the one that ended in Mike Monaco has coined it the clock off.
Yep.
Unbelievable. I love Mike Monaco. At the clock off, like, I don't think that happens in the regular season. I think if, like, the batter is, like, in the box and getting set at 8, 7, 6, I don't think they call it.
Yeah. I just think it's really stupid that you have to be looking at him in the box or else it's a strike. Because that's so dumb. Because if I choose to step in the box at 10 seconds and I'm standing in the box ready to hit, but I'm looking down and fixing my helmet instead of over here, that's my choice. That is my choice to not be looking at the pitcher when I know that a pitch is coming in any of these seconds. And I shouldn't be told that it is now an automatic strike because I'm not looking at him.
Like, why are you telling me where to look? Like, I think
that's so stupid.
Last year, you could have got into the box and just looked straight down at the plate and taken 3 strikes, right?
No one would have said a thing. But
no, because, like, why do I need to look at the pitcher? What if that's
just
not how I swing?
Just because the clock is here, it is now an automatic strike because I'm not looking. So I hope that they kind of, work those kinks out and start to realize that pitchers may abuse this and that the batter doesn't need to be looking at exactly 8 seconds. If the pitcher takes all the way until 10 seconds to get on the mound, so where I'm stepping in at the same time, I think they need to figure that out because 8 seconds is a long time in that sense. And from
Yeah,
if
it
the
is.
pitcher was going to use the entire clock, like the hitter's going to be ready in those 8 seconds, and he knows that. And
Yeah.
the clock's going to be in front of him, and he's going to see it. It's 3, 2, 1, and it's coming. So hopefully they work that out. But
Yeah,
it's
and I think
it's
that's part
been
of the
a
reason why
great
they're
change,
enforcing
though.
it so much
Yeah,
right now to
yeah,
work out the kinks and see, okay, what
yeah.
works being enforced, what doesn't, where do we need to create the leeway. And I also think it's going to be different umpire to umpire. I think
It
that
will.
there are going to be some guys who stick by the rules. There are going to be some guys who never call it unless it's egregious.
I mean, yeah, it's the thing. There's gonna, some NFL officials call delay a game at 0. Some call it at 1. So I
Exactly.
mean,
And it depends who it is, too. I think you're going
right.
to get the veteran stuff a lot like that. Patrick Mahomes gets an extra second.
Yeah,
Tom Brady
yeah.
gets
And
an extra second.
you'll hear them, on all the mic'd up stuff before too. Be like, hey Tom, like I'm gonna call it at 1, and
Mhm.
I'm sure before the game the umpires will at the home plate meetings will say, I'm calling it at 7 seconds, so your guy has to be ready at 7 seconds, and that'll be communicated.
Mhm.
But it's been great. I mean, 2.5 hour games. That's incredible.
It is actually kind of cool. I am getting a little bummed when the games end. I am
Yeah,
I am a little sad. A game ends like a 1 o'clock game ends at 3:30.
yeah,
I'm like, now what?
yeah. But I
Now
mean,
what am
I've
I
been
gonna
seeing
do?
the clips of like people that are like, you guys prefer this better, and it's the old way, and I'm like,
Hmm.
this is really, I can't believe this is the way we used to watch baseball. Really long.
It is actually it's pretty crazy to see them side by side, like what it used to be like. I it needed to happen. Um, I saw somebody throw around the idea. I think it was Steve actually. I think it was my co-host Steve. He said maybe the answer is like no pitch clock in the ninth.
See,
Or
I
like
wouldn't like
if
that
it's a
because
tight
I don't
game,
like the clock off. I don't think that the game should be dictated by a clock off. So I
the
mean,
clock
that
off is
might be a
silly.
good idea. I do like that. No pitch clock in the 9th inning. That would be a good change.
Yeah, because then you're glued to your seat, and if there's a wait
Yeah,
between pitches, like you're actually glued. Because
exactly. It's the
if it's
ninth
like a
inning.
2-run or 3-run game, if it's like 3 runs or less in the ninth inning, no pitch clock.
Yeah, it's completely fine with me because I mean, it's only an extra 15, 20 minutes. Who cares? You're going from
Yeah,
2:30 to
if
2:45,
even,
whatever.
if even, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that will do it for episode 20 of the Dugout. Thank you, Joey, for joining us.
Anytime, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we'll have to have you back on around the midseason. We'll check in on the Sox and how things are going.
Yeah, depending on how it goes, I'll come back on because I heard that your producer's a Yankees fan.
The producer, my
Mhm.
co-host, and my boss, Yankees fans.
I'm not trying to come back on here if the Sox are like 12 and a half games back in May.
I told them that I'm okay with the Red Sox being in last place because I know that the Yankees won't win the World Series. I know that in my heart
All
that
right.
they won't happen. So
All
I'm
right.
okay with
I'll
it.
jump on that narrative.
I've come to peace with it. Like last season,
Yeah.
don't care. They didn't win the World Series.
I think I'm just gonna tell them that they are winning all year. I'm just gonna jinx it all year. I'm gonna be like, I'm just so excited for you guys to win the World Series
That's a
this
good idea
year.
too. That is also a great
'Cause
idea.
Yeah, I have money on it. You guys are definitely winning.
They might too. All right, well, that will do it. Thank you, Joey, once again. And we'll see you guys next week.